Doctor Who is a British television show about a time-traveling alien who fights bad guys, makes friends, and saves the day. It's the longest-running sci-fi TV show ever and one of the longest-running shows in general. So you'd think with a history like that, there'd be a lot of Doctor Who video games, right? Wrong. There's not really that many, and the worst part is almost all of them suck. But what if I told you that there was one Doctor Who game that outshined all the others? But it's not even a Doctor Who game, and it's lost inside another game. Something I think back on very fondly from my childhood is Sunday nights. Almost every Sunday night, my family and I would sit down with some popcorn and watch a movie or a TV show. I know we watched a lot of the Mission Impossible show this way, but one day my dad decided to put on Doctor Who, the first episode in the most recent season featuring Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. The 11th Hour, which was Matt Smith's debut episode as the Doctor, is pretty much unanimously agreed upon as like the best first episode with a new Doctor, and I'm gonna have to absolutely agree because after that the whole family was just hooked. We ended up going back and watching all of the new show, I'll mention that in a second, up until Capaldi's season, and that's when my family kind of fell off of it. But I kept watching though, because by that point I was a Doctor Who fan, a Whovian, if you will, which is one of the worst and most garbage names for a fandom. I've gotta say it. So obviously Doctor Who is one of my all-time favorite shows. It's not great, it's definitely a little campy at times.
Oh, that's better. We've really got to fix the gas exchange. It's getting ridiculous.
But I am British and I grew up with it, so I have a real soft spot for it. The characters are really well written and have some really impactful story arcs, more than you might think for a sci-fi show that started in the 60s. The music is something I personally enjoy a lot. Both Murray Gold and Segun Akinola have made some incredible themes that just work real well with some of those big, for lack of better terms, epic moments in the show. Now, something to keep in mind is that the show started in 1963, but they canceled it in the late 90s for a few reasons I won't get into. But thankfully, it got picked back up and rebooted, I guess, in 2005. So there are two eras of the show. The old show, which is like the 60s to the 90s, and the new show from 2005 and onward. This might seem like a bit of a tangent, but it'll make sense in a second, trust me. But something that's always been kind of understood by Doctor Who fans who are also gamers is that pretty much all of the Doctor Who games kind of suck. Like, I had played a little bit of the Eternity Clock for the Vita, and pretty much just turned it right back off because that was no good. And a little later when the Lonely Assassins came out, I played that too because I could play it on my phone. And that one sucked as well, but for different reasons. But even the other games that existed, they just weren't really any good and were either games of a certain genre with the Doctor Who IP just slapped on top of them, or they just felt rushed or low budget or catered way too heavily towards children or just didn't capture the same vibe as the show. You get the idea. So even though I love the show and I love playing video games, I didn't really get into any of the Doctor Who games because, to be honest, I didn't really know about any of the other games besides the two that I mentioned. When Capaldi's run as the Doctor finished in late 2017 and Jodie Whittaker took over, something changed. The showrunner changed from Stephen Moffat to Chris Chibnall, and the composer also changed from Murray Gold to Segun Akinola. No hate towards either of those two gentlemen, I think they're both very creative and talented people, but both musically and thematically, the show just took on a much different feel. I didn't love it, and it's safe to say that others didn't love it either, so I kind of fell off the show for a while. But then a couple of things happened, like one after the other. They announced that Russell T Davies, the guy who revived the show back in 2005, well, he was coming back as the showrunner for the new seasons. Then, the production company for the show, Bad Wolf Productions, got bought by Sony, of all companies. And after that, Ncuti Gatwa was announced as the next Doctor, which was a huge moment for obvious reasons. So all this news, like, back to back, well, it kind of got me interested again, Like, it kind of got me thinking maybe I should tune back in once they release the new seasons. That was in, like, May of 2022. And the new seasons, technically specials, but that doesn't really matter, weren't going to come out until the end of 2023. I had been rewatching the show a little bit before all this, and this kind of made me finish up the show and everything that I had kind of missed up until that point. But what am I going to do to get back into the Doctor Who mood before these specials release? And that's when I remembered LEGO Dimensions. I had never played the game since it came out during a time where I didn't really care about Lego. I know it's crazy. Imagine me not caring about Lego. But I remembered that there was some kind of Doctor Who level or something in that game. And yes, I know I'm talking about A Traveler's Tales and Lego game again, but I just find it really interesting and I want to talk about it, so just give me this, okay? Lego Dimensions was a Toys to Lifestyle game that was released in September of 2015, where you have to basically buy these little Lego figurine sets in real life, which you can scan into and play in the game via this gamepad that connects to your console. Lego being Lego licensed a ton of IPs for this game, so you could play as different characters from different worlds. In the main game, you play as mostly Batman, Gandalf, and Wyldstyle from the Lego movie, where each level is like a different world or dimension. You play around, solve some puzzles, beat some bosses, and move on to the next world. Same exact formula as all the other TT Lego games. But with each world focusing on a different IP, it gave the team at Traveler's Tales the chance to just like run wild and go real deep with the Easter eggs. You got worlds like Wizard of Oz, Simpsons, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mission Impossible, Harry Potter, Doctor Who, Beetlejuice, Portal. The list is surprisingly long, but the point is I remembered that there was a Doctor Who level in this game. And you want to know something crazy? It's actually kind of good. In fact, it's so much better than almost every other Doctor Who game that most people consider Lego Dimensions to be the best Doctor Who game. And it's not technically even a Doctor Who game, it's a Lego game. But the way that they implement Doctor Who into the game is such a huge step up from all the other games. You can tell a lot more money, a lot more time, and just a lot of love went into making these portions of the game. There are so many cool Easter eggs and just real deep cuts that casual players just wouldn't even pick up on. Not just in the Doctor Who levels, but in all the other levels too. Problem is, the best Doctor Who game you can play is stuck inside Lego Dimensions. Not just that, but trying to play the game outside of when it was being sold in stores is kind of a nightmare. Let's say you have one of those consoles that can play the game. Cool. Well, you can't buy it digitally, you gotta buy a physical copy. But you can't just buy the game on its own. Oh no, you need the toy pad too so you can scan the characters in and play. But you also need the characters too, and most eBay listings are either just the game and the toy pad, or just the characters. You gotta kind of piece it all together from all across the internet just to get started playing the base game. If you want to play any of the other levels with any of the other like non-main characters, you gotta find listings for those too and buy them as well. Some of this stuff is outrageously expensive for no reason, which I can understand would be an immediate turnoff for some people. So for most people who just want to play a good Doctor Who game, you know, that's kind of too much work to put in just to play a kids game that features a show that they like. So yeah, obviously I bought the game, the toy pad, and the Doctor Who level packs. I needed them, you know, you understand. But I didn't have any of the other characters, not even the main ones. You can't even start the game without the main characters physically on the toy pad, which is irritating to say the least. But I didn't technically need to buy any of them, because all I really needed was a mobile app that I downloaded through a sketchy Mediafire link, and 50 25mm N-Tag 213 NFC tags that I shipped all the way from the UK. Basically, each character has this puck on the bottom that houses an NFC tag in it with data specific to them. So when you place the character on the toy pad reads the data and brings that character into the game. This app can write data to these stickers, and now the stickers are the characters. That made sense, right? Cool. So after getting everything that I needed over the span of a couple months, I finally booted up and start playing. Only to quickly realize that this isn't very good. The base game is kinda lame, I guess. It's really cheesy, definitely meant for kids, more so than the other Lego games, I feel like. And you're basically forced to play as the three main characters since like half the puzzles are based off their abilities. So naturally I was getting a little worried, like what if the Doctor Who levels were just like this? What if the game wasn't the best Doctor Who game like everyone said? What if we're just stuck forever and ever with terrible Doctor Who games until the end of time? But thankfully, all you gotta do is beat the first level, and then you can go into any of the worlds as long as you scan the character in from that world. So I scanned in my favorite Doctor, it's Peter Capaldi, in case you're wondering. The Hellbent/Heaven Sent storyline is just too dang good, and I played through the whole mission. And that was it. it was fun. I had fun. I don't really know what else to say here besides I enjoyed myself, and like I thought that the way they incorporated a lot of the aspects of the show was super cool and unique. It just kind of left me wishing that they had made a full game of this, you know? Like, imagine a Doctor Who Lego game in the style of the Skywalker Saga, where you could go to any of the planets or worlds in the Doctor Who universe, play as any of the Doctors and their companions, fight the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Angels, the Silence. Like, it would be so much fun. And I'm just kind of sad that, you know, that's it. Just like an hour-long little story where you beat Davros and the Daleks all by yourself with no companions or anything. Like, I just wish there were more, you know? I wish there were more Doctor Who levels in this game. And technically there is. If you kind of slog through the first 3 levels of the main game, the 4th level is focused on Doctor Who. But again, it's part of that main game where you're playing as the 3 main characters. And so it wasn't as enjoyable to me because it was kind of bogged down by those 3 main character ability mechanics where you have to keep going to the toy pad and changing things out. I didn't love it as much, so going forward, I'm pretty much only going to be referring to the side level that was focused on Doctor Who, but I might mention some mechanics that were in this main story, so just a heads up. But okay, the question that I keep asking myself is why? Why did I have so much fun with this game? Why is it so much more entertaining and more enjoyable than other Doctor Who games? Why is LEGO Dimensions a better Doctor Who game than actual Doctor Who video games? This took a little bit of thinking, and I'm still not entirely sure that I came up with the best answer, but here's what I got. Standalone Doctor Who games are very linear. You're pretty much following a preset story with little to no branching paths or room for exploration or creativity. Like, you know, go here, do a thing, now go to another place and do another thing type of gameplay. That actually does technically follow the structure of the show pretty close, which, you know, makes sense as to why they do that. But with Doctor Who specifically, a gamified version of this world shouldn't really be super linear. You know, it's not just a sci-fi time travel show, but it's an adventure show too, and the best part about it is that they can go anywhere in time and space and literally do anything. All the other Doctor Who games have you locked in with this one linear story, which can work, especially if the story's good, but what LEGO Dimensions does that all the other games don't is it gives you more options. Granted, the story is still pretty linear. I'm not saying that it's some big open world or something, because it's not, although it does have this open world segment. But like in the actual level, there are these other little things that you can do inside that linear story, you know, like getting the mini kits or whatever extras there are. You can just hop into the TARDIS and go to any of the available times and spaces, man. Like, yes, you can only technically go back to places you've gone before, but you're not locked in. You know, you don't have to progress with the story if you don't want to. You can go back to different times and places, you know, finish off whatever unfinished business you got back there. I think what really made me impressed by this was the fact that hopping into the TARDIS and time traveling is necessary to solving some of the puzzles, which is really cool. I like that. It's a smart way to tie in that mechanic from the show that, as far as I'm aware, isn't really a thing in any of the other Doctor Who games. I also think that LEGO Dimensions does a really good job with the world building. You can tell that they either did their research really well or they're just huge fans of the show, because there are so many little details thrown in that they didn't really need to do, but it really elevates that feeling of immersion into the world of Doctor Who. You know, little things like turning into a skeleton for a sec when you get shot by a Dalek, or Bad Wolf spray painted on a wall, or the Silence disappearing when you turn around, or the Weeping Angels locking you in with this like time lock thing that you gotta break out of when they attack you, even though that mechanic doesn't work 100% of the time, which is kind of annoying. Or the fact that you can play as every single Doctor except for Jodie and Ncuti, and each TARDIS interior and music matches their era of the show, and how each one attacks using an item specific to them. Like, it's a lot, and it's those little things that really immerse you into that world. Like, yes, they did their research, they love the show, this is so much fun, because it's really the Doctor Who world from the show that I'm running around in and exploring. And this is why LEGO Dimensions is the best Doctor Who game. Diving back into the world of Doctor Who to make this video, you know, doing all the research, playing the games, finding the footage, it honestly got me really excited for this upcoming season that is already out by the time you're watching this, but just pretend that's not the case. You know, it just all got me thinking about how I got into the show, why I like it, and how important it was to me growing up. But that's all I got for this one. I tried to keep it on the shorter side, even though it did kind of go past that 10-minute mark I wanted to hit. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Farewell, and salutations.